Maayong adlaw sa kanatong tanan. Welcome to the press conference of Innovate. I am actually lucky enough to have snagged this person here into this Cattleya room at Seda Hotels, the CEO of Aboitiz Distribution Utilities, Joaquin Aboitiz. Good day, sir.
Good day. Thanks for having me.
Innovate Cebu. What an event, right? Pardon me for keeping you from your meal, from your lunch. Sir, first and foremost, kanibang word nga innovate ba? Wala maging direct equivalent in our language sa mga binisaya, di ba? Wala may innovate yun nga binisaya nga word. Akong pangutana siguro first ani is when you say innovate, how do you start encouraging, nudging society to have that kind of innovation culture or culture of innovation when in fact it's not even in our lexicon?
I think it's an excellent question. I grew up always hearing the term Pinoy ingenuity. When they would describe when you'd see a habal-habal driver with, more passengers than a pickup, and creating a culture of innovation for me in Aboitiz has been quite difficult, and creating it in a country or in a region, I think the first thing you got to do is bring it down to the level that they can understand, right? And I like to use examples like in your daily life, you have found shortcuts. You know the fastest way to brush your teeth. You know the quickest way to get from your home to your office, right? And we use tools and we probably don't think about these things as innovation, but they are little innovations. They are simplification projects that we have run. You have a lot of videos online on Instagram, TikTok that show, life hacks. And they are the most watched for a reason because they're relevant to people. So I think we just need to make innovation a lot more relevant. And I think that's really the first step. The next step is, I believe that if you're going to create a culture of innovation, that is very different from innovating. Because when you're creating a culture, you have to make certain allowances. And one of the things I've found to be very useful has been this term called, or this practice called yes and. And what that means is you don't want to shut down ideas.
Yes, and, oh.
Yeah. So if you have an idea and you say, I would like to, or I have this idea where we can put, a microphone on a lapel, and I want the microphone to be hidden so that you can't see it. Instead of me saying, well, that's already been invented, I would then say, yes, and maybe it could have this other feature, or maybe we could stick it instead of the lapel, it could stick to like the back of your hair.
Yeah.
And then you would come back, or somebody else would say yes, and maybe there's another way that we can, transmit the audio, right? So I've found that the moment you shut down an idea, you're shutting down something that the person has spent time to think about and that they hold quite personal. So I've found this to be kind of fairly useful.
Yeah, and I think this is something that not only applies to corporations, but also to schools, especially, right? And a lot of young people have really great ideas too, and you tell them yes and
right,
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, and I can say this proudly, right? Is that I was shut down many times, and it is discouraging, right? I mean, if you tell me about an idea you had, and the first thing I say is, well, you're already triggered to say, wait, you haven't even heard, I haven't explained my whole idea, or I haven't. So I think, we really need to listen more. Earlier today, it was stated by some of the panelists that they felt that the younger generation lacks grit.
Yeah.
Right? And I also think that while the situation has changed, I also feel that as leaders, we probably need to listen more. which I'm sure a lot of your listeners, that's what they do. They listen, right? And we need to generally listen more. As the leaders, we need to listen to people more and try and understand where they are coming from.
You know, we are always bombarded here, especially in the Philippines, with a lot of Western content, right? And most of our ideas come from that area of the world, and we sort of latch on to our ideas with a West like Western ideas, right? So ang ato mga gipang innovate is not necessarily applicable or not yet necessarily applicable to our particular needs as a nation, right? And atong mga you know, the YouTube videos that we watch, the social media, and even the inventions that we have are primarily, you know, all of the greatest patents in the world, if not from Europe, they're from the United States or some other parts of Asia, but not mostly from us, although we do have innovators here too in the Philippines. My question here is, how do you encourage a specific kind of innovation that solves our specific local problems?
So I think it's a great question. And you know, if I had the answer to that, I probably wouldn't need an Innovate Cebu. So we're still innovating. We're still innovating to try and create that culture that you're talking about. We did have a couple of members from the government who were here today to offer their perspective. And I feel that what I've learned here is that we don't really have the answer to that, right? We have a lot of brain drain in the Philippines because
absolutely.
those that have these ideas, they go out to the US to patent it because like the patent laws here is probably not as strong. So I would say that while a lot of the innovations are coming from these areas, I don't know if all the innovators are necessarily from those areas, right? You get a lot of people in the US who migrate there for, you know, to start a new life, to push their ideas, to start up there, to have to found the business there. And for us locally, I do think what we do have here are kind of these small quick fixes. And what we lack is sharing of those quick fixes, because you do have so many small so many of these incremental improvements that are present in different parts of the country that we don't really share. You know, and I was in India a few months ago, and I learned that India is you know 10 times the population we have, with
1 billion, right? A few.
over their 1.4 B, and you know, they have, if you think our challenges are bad, times that by 10. And what they were explaining to me was they have a rail system that is heavily used. But the problem is that so many people use the system that they're bombarded with, like, how do we sell tickets? How do we make sure people purchase tickets, etc. But they tried many different things, failed many, many times. And eventually the idea that caught on and that has been successful is that they realized that Indians love the lotto. So what they did was they made every train ticket a lotto ticket. Right? So an American would never think of that because they don't have that problem. So I think that if we can share these ideas, and that's what actually we're trying to do here, is sometimes your idea is not good enough, but if you merge it with somebody else's idea, if you get more yes ands, if you're a student and the only person you're testing your idea on is a teacher, rather than having access to businessmen, having access to other teachers, having access to other students, the collective environment is what will make that idea great. The only reason that India idea succeeded was because they had tried so many different things and brought together different group of people to try and say, hey, how do we fix this?
Another culture of collaboration this time, right?
Yes.
Which is also one of the things that we're not very good at, because we're kind of a very regionalistic nation, if you think about it, right? So culture of collaboration, culture of innovation, looks like we have a pretty tall task, right? Changing culture.
Absolutely. Well, it's always a tall task, right? And I think that we've got so many other issues, and it's hard to prioritize, right?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, but it takes up
space in your mind,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
So
yeah.
you're trying to think of this idea, you're trying to fix, let's say, the drainage issue that you have, and fixing the drainage issue, if you go to the root, to one of the root causes, is trash.
Yeah.
Right? We're the number one contributor to ocean plastic in the world.
yeah.
Number one, not number two or number one in Asia, number one in the world.
Congratulations, Philippines, you did it again.
Congratulations. So I mean, like, if we have that as an issue, okay, so one of the issues that we could one of the solutions could be, we do a lot of recycling. But recycling will probably take 20 years to embed the culture of recycling. It's taken Australia, the US, all of these countries a generation to become, a recycling nation. Sometimes, that's what it takes. So we could solve it.
So this Innovate Cebu, tell us more about this one, and why did you decide and your company decide to start this contest?
So we've been trying to create a culture of innovation in our own utilities, and our MTP, or our massive transformative purpose, is empowering the evolution of our cities. And we were thinking about how else can we empower the evolution of our cities? Like, what else can we do to get our cities to evolve? What else can we do in the private sector to help this? And when we were trying to make a more inclusive innovation culture in our organization, we said, for this to really be a community-driven initiative, we should be asking outside of our environment, right? We should be asking people from outside our environment. And we were talking about it earlier that, there are problems with how can we log in all these ideas? How can we have like a database? The problem with the database in the past is that you have to manually sift through everything. But now with AI, you can chat and say, I have this idea, and you will now have access to all the previous ideas from other countries. So I think the reason why we're doing this now is because AI has come to a point where we might not be successful the first time, we might not be successful the second time, but the third, the fourth, the fifth time, as these ideas get refined, they're easily archived, they're easily searchable. So I think, now's the time. And, we're calling students, ex-students, we're calling people that have ideas to come and join us in Innovate Cebu, because we need to build this environment, and the only way to build it is through inclusivity. And we are also offering mentorship. So we have people from the private sector who are coming in to be mentors for these kind of idea owners, so that we think that if we can collectively come together, we'll end up with a better solution.
So the contest starts now.
Yes. So
And when do you guys find the winners? What part of the year, or is it next year? What?
So we're opening this up. It starts now.
Okay.
Right. So we have a QR code and a website where you can enter your ideas, and I don't remember exactly when we culminate. I gotta check, but you can be sure that we have some good prizes for first, second, and third place. And we also want to invest in these companies or in these ideas. So on top of cash, we also have capital that we would like to invest into the entities. And we've also talked to some private business owners, and we've asked them, almost like a Dragon's Den kind of thing, right? Where if you find an idea that you like, maybe you like to invest in in that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Joaquin Aboitiz, the CEO of Aboitiz Distribution Utilities, and please join us in Innovate Cebu. Daghang salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.